How a typo nearly caused a nuclear war. Have you ever thought about how one tiny mistake could change the world? A simple typo, a slip of a hand on a keyboard, almost brought humanity to the brink of annihilation during one of the most volatile periods in modern history. This is a story of tension, technology, and the sheer fragility of peace. Stay with us as we dive into one of the most dramatic, edge-of-your-seat moments in history. And don't forget, like, subscribe, and smash that notification bell so you never miss incredible stories like this one. The Cold War was no ordinary time. It was an era defined by fear, paranoia, and brinkmanship. For over 4 decades, the world's two dominant superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union, stood on opposite ends of a figurative battlefield. Locked in an arms race, they stockpiled nuclear weapons capable of destroying the world many times over. This period introduced the chilling concept of mutually assured destruction, or MAD for short. The idea was simple yet horrifying. If one side launched a nuclear strike, the other would retaliate with equal or greater force, wiping out both nations, and possibly the planet. Peace during the Cold War didn't exist because of understanding, it existed because the cost of war was unthinkable. But there's one thing that could tip the balance: mistakes. Humans were building complex systems to detect threats, but no machine, no person, is ever immune to failure. As tensions grew, so did the reliance on technology, a double-edged sword that worked until it didn't. It was a seemingly ordinary day during the Cold War, but as history has repeatedly shown, disaster often waits for moments of routine. Deep within the walls of a top-secret military operations center, teams monitored missile detection systems that scanned the skies for threats. This system was designed to identify any incoming nuclear weapons so the country could respond immediately. And then, the unthinkable happened. A sudden alarm blared through the room. The screen showed what appeared to be numerous incoming Soviet nuclear missiles, each one capable of mass destruction. The system warned that an all-out attack was underway, and emergency protocols were immediately triggered. This wasn't a drill. The timer was ticking with minutes, maybe seconds, to decide, respond or risk annihilation. What no one knew at that exact moment was that a small typo, a tiny error in the system, had caused this chaos. Somewhere in the programming code, someone entered data incorrectly. That mistake triggered a false warning, suggesting missiles were already in flight. This simple technological misstep could have cost billions of lives. Inside the operations center, the room was a chaotic whirlwind of shouting, beeping machines, and the constant buzz of phone lines connecting personnel to leaders at the highest levels of command. Military officials scrambled to validate the alarm and estimate how much time they had to react. Protocols dictated one clear response: immediate retaliation. After all, if you wait too long, the enemy's missiles could hit you first, rendering your counterstrike useless. Imagine the tension in that room. The fate of the world rested in their hands, and time, perhaps the cruelest of all factors, was slipping away. Every person in that room was trained to follow strict orders in such scenarios. Escalate the situation to leadership swiftly and prepare to launch a counterstrike. The United States had dozens, if not hundreds, of nuclear warheads ready to deploy at a moment's notice. A single launched missile would mean a full-scale global war. It's the kind of responsibility that tests even the most composed individuals. In the midst of the storm, one individual rose above it all and made an extraordinary choice. This person, a mid-level officer, refused to immediately follow protocol despite the immense pressure to act. They dared to question the very system that everyone else blindly followed. Why? Maybe it was intuition, maybe experience, or maybe just sheer luck. While everyone else focused on the escalating data, this officer hesitated. Something didn't feel right. They noticed inconsistencies, subtle clues that suggested the situation might not be what it seemed. It takes a rare kind of bravery to stand still when the world demands you run. To defy your training, your superiors, and the instinct screaming at you to act is almost unbelievable. But this person's hesitation allowed just enough time to halt the chain reaction of retaliation and thoroughly investigate the threat. As tensions boiled, the verification process began in earnest. Teams worked at breakneck speed to cross-check radar systems, analyze potential trajectories, and assess the credibility of the incoming missiles. It was then that the truth came to light. Someone discovered the root of this supposed attack: a typo. A minor programming error in one of the systems had generated false missile coordinates, leading the detection system to believe an attack was imminent. There were no incoming missiles. The alarms, the panic, the military scrambling, it was all for nothing. This was not just a technical mistake, it was an existential one. Billions of lives nearly ended because of one small human error. Without the quick thinking and courage of this single officer, who knows what might have happened? With the false alarm identified, the crisis dissolved almost as quickly as it erupted. Relief washed over the operations center like a tidal wave. But no one could ignore what had just happened. This wasn't just a close call, it was a moment that revealed just how fragile our systems really are. Leaders ordered immediate investigations and changes to protocols. Systems needed better safeguards against human error. Chain of command decisions needed new oversight. Yet, despite all these precautions, this incident left an unsettling question in its wake. How many other disasters might be hiding in the flaws of our fallible systems? Over the years, it became clear this was not an isolated incident. There are numerous examples of near misses during the Cold War, a chilling pattern that shows how razor-thin the line is between peace and destruction. When you hear a story like this, it forces you to pause. It's terrifying to think that humanity's fate can hinge on such a tiny, seemingly insignificant detail. But that's the reality. Even the most advanced systems in the world are ultimately built and operated by humans. And humans make mistakes. This story isn't just a historical event, it's a reminder of how much we take stability for granted. We assume safeguards will always work, that leaders will always make the right decisions, and that systems are infallible. But as this near disaster shows, none of that is guaranteed. In the face of chaos, the hero of our story stood against the tide, defied expectations, and gave peace a chance. Their decision to wait, to investigate, and to trust their instincts over a system failure saved billions of lives. It's a reminder of the immense weight of individual actions, how one person can change everything. At its heart, this story is not just about a typo or a near-miss nuclear war. It's about humanity, our ingenuity, our courage, and yes, even our vulnerability. Because no matter how advanced we become, our fate still rests in human hands. As we wrap up, ask yourself, how often do we stop and think about the near disasters we don't hear about? How close have we come to losing everything, without even realizing it? This shocking tale is just one of many, and it underscores the delicate balance between chaos and order. If you want to explore more incredible, little-known stories like this, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Not only does it mean you won't miss out on future videos, but it also helps support content that explores these poignant, thought-provoking moments. Until next time, remember, the smallest actions can make the biggest difference, and sometimes they can even save the world.